Today, Bayscribe is very excited to present to you V6 CACDIS, a completely integrated CAC CDI solution. The difference is the design, in that CDIS encoders now work within the same application. They're able to share notes and review each other's verbal and written queries, streamlining the coding and billing process. The solution provides dynamic queries that can be edited on the fly and instantaneously published to the physicians for securely signing them online, even via tablet computers. The goals of CACDIS are straightforward: improve the timeliness and efficiency of communications among CDIS coders and physicians, and in doing so, increase the quality and accuracy of documentation, leading to improved outcomes clinically and financially. We think you'll agree this is a different and better approach to CDI and CAC. We're going to begin at the care team dashboard, which displays the work queue for the respective CDIS or coder. And as I enter into the encounter, you see that I'm immediately presented with a summarized list of the patient's problems from all of the different reports that have been processed, with the report information right here on my right-hand side. To begin working up the case, all I need to do is select a principal diagnosis, and instantly TrueCode grabs the ICD code, submits the ADT information to the grouper, and comes back with our initial DRG. At this point, if I'm satisfied with my initial DRG, I can record that into the database for reporting purposes. From here, I can go on to evaluate the case to see if there are potential CCs or MCCs. And I have several different options available to me. I have the ability to generate written and verbal queries by coming over and opening this query tool. The verbal queries is nothing more than a very extensive list of potential queries, really so that we can report on the different queries that were generated. For instance, if I was going to generate a query on this case and I wanted to make it a verbal query, I could say something like this. I could say, I stopped Dr. Adams in the hall and asked him if it was a CVA incident. And if he disagreed or agreed, I can then note that. So I could say something about adding a CC or an MCC, clarifying POA or SOIRM. I can say that he didn't respond or that there was no change. So in this case, I'm going to say there was no change, he disagreed, and I've closed the verbal query. Again, saving that information in the database. Now, if others access this case, they can also see these notes. They can simply click on the title and see that I stopped and asked if it was CVA. If they want to look further, they can open it up and actually see that, in fact, Dr. Adams disagreed with the query and that I closed the query. So that's how we add verbal queries. Written queries are very similar. If I open up the same tool and I select a written query, I can come down and I can pick any query that I'd like. In this case, I'll pick anemia. And then I also would pick the physician. In this case, we'll say Dr. Hagdorn. From here, I can copy and paste any pertinent information from either the transcribed reports, the HR reports, whatever has been imported into the system, or even from another system. I can also then access my dynamic query template that allows me to remove any items that I know to not be viable options, as a HEMA requires. So I can go through and easily remove as many items as I need, and I could potentially even add items that don't exist. I can just drag and drop, and there we go, and I can say new item, right? From here, I submit the query, and I actually am going to change the physician so we can see the query landing in the physician's box. I send the query. Now I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go to the physician's queue and refresh, and boom, there's the query instantly. I open up the query. You can see this is the one I just generated, new item, right? And I can immediately go in and answer this query. And I can say, any of the items in blue are my designated selection criteria. Those are the only part of the query that I can answer. But I'm not going to answer that because we're going to, for a minute, pretend that this query became irrelevant based on new clinical information. And so that happens a lot. And there's really no good way in the market right now to retract queries, especially if they're email or sent to the EHR or if they're paper. But in CACDIS, if I click on this and I go in and I say withdrawn and I close the status and I save it and go back over to the physician's queue, it's now gone. So a fantastic tool for lightening the burden on the physicians. Oftentimes people are generating queries only to find that that query becomes not pertinent before it's ever answered. And so CACDIS addresses that very important issue. We're going to go back over into the main area of the system. And I want to bring TrueCode back up so I can show you the speed and the power. By clicking on the ICD-9 code, I bring up the different research tools, I can bring up the different DRG tools, and you'll see that as quickly as I select a secondary diagnosis, almost instantly the DRG has been updated to include the MCC. So if that becomes my working DRG, I can save that, and now that's recorded in the database. Where it gets really interesting is the speed. I've got coding clinic, I've got coding advice, official guides, and if I click on one of these, it brings up the reference tools almost immediately. Just escaping out of that takes me back to the main screen. If I want to go in and do a code book lookup, I can either access the books directly or I can access the book from this code by simply clicking on the link. And it takes me right into the code book and right to the exact section. And if it turns out that I need to add a different code or replace a code, all I need to do is just click on the code and either add it or replace it. I'm going to add this code. And again, I escape. And now I'm back, and here's the added code. Right? So again, speed, flexibility, and really a dynamic system. Deleting queries is almost as easy as deleting codes. We saw how we withdrew the query earlier. If I need to get rid of a code that's not appropriate for whatever reason, all I need to do is click the red X and the code is removed. Again, I can add verbal and written queries here, and then I can also go through and add and leave notes for my fellow coders in CDIS. So if I'm a CDIS working up an encounter at the beginning of the case and I need to leave a note for myself or for a coder, I can simply enter a little note. We feel that communication is just as important as documentation. The spell check even works. If I have a date to review the case next, I can add the date as well. I save the note, and there it is. It's available for anyone to see. And I don't have to open it. I can just click on the link, and there's the note. We hope you've been excited and impressed by the tools that we're building for CACDIS. This has only scratched the surface, this quick presentation. We hope that you'll take some time and take a closer look. Have a great day.